All right, July 31st. Brandon here. Mel, with Mell More. What are you doing over there? Checking your Facebook?
Yeah, I don't miss anything. You don't know how it keeps me up to date with what's really going on versus everything else.
Yeah, so tonight's our first real production run other than our introduction. Trying to actually get into some news tonight a little bit. Mel's trying to smoke on a 2-year-old cigar that will barely stay lit, so we'll see how that goes throughout the show.
Well, for people who don't understand cigars, you would say something like that, but as an aficionado, this is actually an aged cigar. So
yeah, aged and dry, or like aged in perfection?
Aged in, well, if you don't, I can't explain things that, if you don't know, you don't know. It's the cigar world.
Yeah.
That's just the cigar world. This is just a smoker. I call them smokers.
Cheapo.
It's all relative, isn't it? $1 is not just throwaway money. Are you kidding me?
So, ran into somebody kind of interesting today talking about the hospital. What do you think about the hospital? How's that going? I said, well, it's surprisingly going really well. And Mel, what's your take on that? I mean, I've been at odds with the hospital on more than one occasion throughout my political career, and I've got to say, I feel like things are going pretty well.
I got to say, this is the first glimmer of light that I've ever seen. After they got rid of Phyllis Mills, who was the CEO there for a number of years, who was a pretty well-rounded, had been the medical world for years, and she was frankly handicapped by the hospital board. So they hired the people that they want that fit their mold, and
well, you're talking the old hospital.
On and transcended into the new one.
Okay.
That mindset transcended into the new one.
So what do we get? A new hospital 10 years ago?
We got eight or 10, whatever it was.
We've struggled financially ever since, and it's been a real challenge for the community and the employees, and obviously most of the CEOs have not done well with it.
Yeah, and the challenge is that because we're so small and so rural, do we deserve a giant hospital with our per capita income and such? And it was voted in, vote for a sales tax, a half-cent sales tax to get us a hospital. That was the assuredness that the commission was looking for, to see that the city wanted a new hospital, and it voted, it succeeded in this half-cent sales tax. It's not exactly the hospital that everybody thought we were getting.
Sure.
But we did get a new hospital. We got a new hospital. Granted, it's 8 minutes away from in town, but that's a little water under the bridge now. It's neither here nor there at this point of the game.
Yeah, so I think a few lessons learned, obviously. I was staunchly against giving the hospital more money at times, on more than one occasion, mostly because it was ran poorly. Poorly by the CEO, poorly by the board, and at least in the last year, we've had a new CEO, Mr. Bowman, done a fairly impressive job, I think, as far as bringing the morale back. It seems to be the employees I visit with are all they like working for the guy, and they're willing to work for the guy, and
very much
and doing a good job there.
But on the note of poorly run or not, it really wasn't known, because they kept saying that a hospital is a different animal, and that the board was sacred, and you cannot interfere with these things, and the board only knows what's best for the hospital. Of course, everybody believed them, because how many of us are in hospital administration? Not very many. And they kept saying, and they were reinforced by the CEO of the hospital and the CFO of the hospital, and the board kept saying that, my God, this is just the way it is. There's just the way it is. And for years, that was generally regarded as the way it was.
Sure. No, I agree. And I've stayed up stuck my neck out there a few times, being in conflict with the idea that we should just keep giving a failing entity more money. And to my surprise, or to my neglect of understanding the truth, is every time they put up a sales tax ballot, people vote to fund that hospital. And that's it's awakening for me to understand that what I understand of something isn't, or what my perception may not be what everybody else is thinking. And that's good learning for me anyhow. And the city commissioners, all 5 of them here in the last what, year banded together pretty good. You know, I've been at odds with every one of them at one time or another, but they did a really good job dismantling the board, getting a new CEO in there, and turning this thing back around. I mean, we've got, for the first time, and since I've been involved in politics for the last 5 years or so, I've seen some promising numbers, promising figures, promising attitude and outlook for the hospital, and I had good service there. I took my son there a few months ago or a few weeks ago, and it was great service. So
I got a cobbled up knee that had to get x-rayed not long ago, and I was impressed. Went right through the admissions, went right through it, no problem, no hang up, no anything. Went into the x-ray, rang the bell, immediate service, drugged me in there immediately, did their due diligence, took the x-rays, and I was gone. And everybody, the attitude was great, the time frame was, they weren't searching for things. It was night and day difference from my last episode. Same thing, trying to get my knee fixed, and the same thing, and it was just like pulling teeth to get somebody just to come to the door and answer the damn doorbell.
Yeah, so, you know, that's good. So, despite all the good we talk, we see some bad in the front page of the paper on the hospital.
No.
Hospital contracts questioned. So what's driving this, Mel? What do you think's going on there? Why now that we're doing the best we've done in a long time?
It's kind of,
we've got some naysayers.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, and how many naysayers there are? I don't see any of the local populace saying anything about this. This comes from deeper within, and the way it's worded and such, it's obviously from an inside attack. I mean, all things point to the obvious, and I'm not even going to mention. There's no point in it. But we're doing well. Let's don't rock the boat. I mean, we pulled out of this. We got a better bond rating. We got a better bond rating because our numbers were better.
Another thing the commission did really well.
Yes, they did. They
did a nice job with that.
That bond rating was what it is because the numbers were so much better than what they had been in the past. Plus, the many discoveries on improprieties or lack of due diligence of getting billing and coding out and all those things are being straightened out. And you got to hand most of it to the CEO, Jeff Bowman, who stepped up to the plate and he made this thing turn around. And he was fought. He was at odds. I know that the old board, the old guard, the disbanded board, the old guard, were horribly against this. The thought of losing the last CEO, they thought it was a horrible idea and how great he was. But the reality was he wasn't great. It wasn't run well, and the board wasn't doing a good job. And the proof is in the pudding. The hospital is going into the black for the first time in eight or 10 years.
It's been a while. And you know, I hate to use the word profitable, and this is where I draw the line. The hospital still is receiving taxpayer funds via sales tax, and you know, in my eyes and my mind, I call profit when it's actually profit beyond that, and profit after tax. And these guys have got to get there, and I believe they will. It's just going to take some time, and it's already been substantially better. And you know, I really hope that the previous city staff, excuse me, not previous city staff, but this previous city or hospital attorney collections gal.
Miss
Niles. That's mentioned in this article here.
Yeah.
Really hope she doesn't disrupt this for the community.
Is she mentioned in here?
Well, it seems to be that's where that's coming from.
That's where the gist is. But yeah, and I understand, you know, being in business, you win contracts and you lose contracts, and it's a matter of time. And you know, the cyclic rate is when administrations change, you're starting all over. This is very common in business. We deal with it all the time. You know, we've got customers that I've been working for 15, 20 years, and we still have to be low bidder, and we still have to perform. And if the day they find somebody that does better, they're going to take them. And I certainly don't blame them, because bottom line is the object. Everything else is irrelevant.
And it's pretty important right now.
Yeah, especially right now. So. Yeah, and as rural hospitals are beat upon routinely, but I wonder how many rural hospitals were run like this one were run, as if there's no hope and there's no way, and it is what it is, and these hospitals are always losers, and Evidently they're not. This guy took this hospital and did a 180-degree turnaround on what it was doing.
And he did it because the commission allowed him to do it.
The commission allowed it, and he did it in a very timely manner.
Yeah.
So it makes it look like, and the only thing that happened is they changed the board and they changed the CEO. Everything else stayed the same. He went in there and he made his internal changes, and as if nobody else could do these things, he still has an uphill battle, especially with things like when they took out the intensive care unit. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars to put intensive care back in, which really hurt the surgery suites when they don't have intensive care to turn a patient off to. And so that was a huge loss. And the mindset of people doing stuff like that means they're not business people. They're short on the realization of how your bread is buttered.
I like my bread.
I like my bread. I like my bread buttered a lot.
All right. Anything else on that, Mel?
Nah, I think,
Okay.
I don't know, we're kind of beating a dead horse because I got no traction. And
Yeah.
everybody's,
Hospital's doing great. What can we
you
say?
don't hear any negative stuff about the hospital anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Well, the complaining, and a lot of the negativity was from collections. And just today, I guess, it was today or yesterday, where they forgave the fees and delinquent money on these bills. And that's a wonderful thing because, you you just want your money. We do it often. Somebody comes up and they're way behind and they're really starts piling up on interest and penalties.
You just want to help them out.
Want to help them out, so we just say, look, just pay on the original amount. We'll forgo all the interest and penalties. We just want what is due. We don't want to stress you on this stuff. So that's a brilliant move by the CEO, which is done all the time in business. Businesses do that all the time. And as a small business with a captured audience, that'll go a long, long way.
Yep. No, I think you're right. Beyond the hospital, little party in the park on Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was quite the success.
Alzheimer's benefit. Kenny Divall and company put together a giant party, and I think I didn't hear any bad news. It went over without incident.
Even though the police did a saturation patrol, for the timing's impeccable.
It's completely not coincidental, but
yeah, but I should have been going because I forgot about it. So maybe I am actually I should be a beneficiary to the Alzheimer's studies.
yeah, you
I forgot all about it. But I drove by and the crowd was big and it wasn't loud and it wasn't obnoxious. I cruised around and briefly stopped in. It was a very nice crowd, very, very well done. I got to hand it to them. They did a good job.
They did a nice job. And a few weeks ago at a commission meeting, Kenny and his team had to go and present in front of the commission and say, hey, we want to do this and we want to allow alcohol there, which is something you don't normally have in a park. And there was a little bit of discussion and some contention amongst staff of the city versus what the commission was thinking. The city manager ultimately recommended, and the commission allowed it to happen. And by doing so, Kenny got to have a nice party in the park. And 50 years in business in Ark City, 50 years, that's pretty remarkable.
That is pretty remarkable. I mean, there are older companies.
There's not that many 50-year-old companies in town.
No, 10's a miracle.
Yeah, so anyhow.
Yeah.
That's about all I got for tonight, Mel.
Made the town look good. Made the town look really good as things slowly come together, which we got to look good. We got to put our best foot forward.
Gotta be good.
Because nobody's going to come down and rescue us. He's not going to come down and build a light bulb plant in Ark City. It's just not going to happen. So the realization that we've got to take care of ourselves. We have to be the best we can be.
All right. Signing off.
Signing off. Another success story.